What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mobile video. So I decided to start up a mini series for the time being. If this ends up becoming successful, I will make it into a full series. So basically what this series entails is just, looking back at the older weapons for this game. So obviously the first one that we're going to be doing today is the AK47. We're going to talk about its history. We're going to talk about like the balance changes that it has pretty much gone through in the past, and so on. So anyways, I hope you guys appreciate this video. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more of this. So anyways, let's begin. So the AK47 was here since pretty much the start of COD Mobile. It's one of the weapons that it came with, and honestly, at the time, it wasn't really much of a bad assault rifle. That wasn't really until the gunsmith came out. I mean, this assault rifle did get a lot of love back then. During the winter season, it did get an ice camo. Just in case you guys don't know, or you guys haven't played this game long enough to know what the ice camo is, it's basically a rare level skin that is actually animated. I think it's like the only rare skin that's actually animated. It's really surprising to me that it did not end up becoming a blueprint for whatever reason. But yeah, the AK-47 during its time did get a lot of love. I mean, the first battle pass was the AK-47 Red Action. You can't get that anymore, unfortunately. So yeah, for all of you people that were lucky enough to attain that back then, dude, you have my utmost respect. And plus, it wasn't so easy going through battle passes back then because they required a lot more work. It wasn't you didn't progress through the tiers by simply just playing the game. You had to do all these different tasks in order to even progress. They had these little challenges that you had to do every day. Eventually, once you hit tier 50 or tier 100, wherever that battle pass ended, you would get the Red Action AK-47. This also did get a legendary. It was actually one of the first legendaries. The Pumpkin Pummeler or the Pumpkin Smasher is basically a Halloween themed legendary for the AK during that event. So yeah, it's one of the oldest legendaries around. And the one that I'm showing right now in gameplay is the Wrath Black and Gold, which is another very old legendary skin. First bought in a draw, but then eventually sold in a bundle, and that's how I got it. This was actually my first legendary skin. It was in the store for like 2,400 COD points, so I figured, why not pick it up, right? And, I kind of fell in love with the skin, as well as the weapon. And remember, pre-gunsmith, this weapon was alright. I mean, yeah, it had some recoil, but it wasn't to the point where it was almost uncontrollable like it is now. Believe it or not, pre-gunsmith, this was actually one of the most powerful assault rifles in the game because it was able to consistently 3-shot enemies. But, I mean, there was a time where you were able to 3-shot enemies during the gunsmith area, or I guess the early days of the gunsmith around season 9, season 10. But eventually this weapon went through so many weird changes, right? At first they removed its 4-shot kill potential, then they added a lot of recoil. They did all these different balance changes in order to make this gun a little bit more balanced, even though at the time no one was really using it. To be honest, really any change that comes to the AK-47 is typically a negative one, but with the exception of one, because I did notice in one of the test builds that they kind of removed a lot of the visual recoil that you would see for the AK-47, and I was actually happy. I mean, it didn't actually remove the recoil at when you're actually playing, but visually when you're shooting the weapon, it bounces a lot less, and that was a really appreciated change because I mean it felt like the AK-47 was just going downhill and more downhill as time went by, and it was kind of frustrating me because I mean I like the weapon, I want it to work, but you can't just nerf it down to the point where it's unusable. Even today with the AK-47, it's still a pretty solid assault rifle, but of course it doesn't hold a candle to the ones that we have currently, the Swordfish or the M13. This weapon, yes, it may be powerful, and you can still 3-shot with this gun, but you actually have to shoot in the head at least once in order to do so. And to be honest, I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me on this. This is actually one of the hardest weapons to kind of master in the gunsmith, because you have to be really careful with this specific weapon because all the barrel attachments have some serious downsides, probably more than any assault rifle in this game as of right now. The marksman barrel, typically that would take away like 18, 17, 16% ADS time. No, this gun takes away 25. and you only get 30% you know, range boost. And it's kind of weird because the Ranger barrel actually provides 40%. So I don't know what the logic is there. But yeah, I mean, the downsides for the AK47 are much higher than any assault rifle in this game. Keep in mind, this is already a slow assault rifle. You add a marksman barrel like that, it's going to slow it down even harder. But you do get a recoil improvement, but at the cost, like I said, of speed. So you had to find a way in order to kind of have a decent amount of recoil control while maintaining some speed and power. And that's where I feel like it's really difficult to achieve when it comes to the AK-47. And even if you want to add some speed into this weapon, such as a short barrel or a no stock, they're going to have some major detrimental effects on this weapon, to the point where it's almost impossible to control the recoil at long ranges. If you want to use no stock, you probably would put a marksman barrel or a ranger barrel at least with an operator foregrip or rubberize to at least have a chance to control the recoil. I mean, that's really how bad this weapon is in terms of its gunsmith. And, you know, I wouldn't mind if the, you know, the downsides were a little bit, you know, less serious, you know, like 25%, and maybe if it was down to like 16% or 18%, I wouldn't have minded. But with 25, that's a hell of a sacrifice. But at the same time, if you manage to build this in such an intricate way, you could actually be very dominant with this weapon. That's the reward for, you know, carefully putting every attachment together for this weapon. And to be honest, that's why I don't really use this weapon anymore, because of this issue. There's just too many sacrifices you have to make in order for this gun to be decent. Really, the best way I found to at least maintain recoil and speed is to just, you know, go all out when it comes to recoil attachments such as operator foregrips, rubberize, you know, the compensators, and then to make up for all of that, you would have to put a, you know, a light barrel, which increases your ADS time by 16%. I mean, that's a pretty good trade-off. And it does balance things out, but at the same time, if you want to get long shots, your shots are probably going to get reduced down to a 5-shot kill. So, yeah, I mean, you want to have as much range with this thing as possible in order to successfully execute a 4-shot kill. So, on the subject of attachments, there is another attachment that I do need to talk about, and it's one that still bothers me till this day. And I'm pretty sure you guys know where I'm going with this. It's one of the mag options. I forgot what, I think it's the 7.44 or whatever. It's a mag that increases the fire rate for the weapon. It only comes in a capacity of 30, and it pretty much removes all damage multipliers except for the head. And yeah, it increases your fire rate by like 22%. I mean, it's a huge amount, but with a gigantic downside. And remember what I said about this weapon. It already has a large amount of recoil. So with the high fire rate, even if this didn't have a recoil downside, I mean, it would still be jumping like crazy. But the fact that they added a 5 or like something over 5% of a recoil increase makes it all like worse. You would have to actually put on marksman barrels, anything to keep the weapon from jumping like crazy. And the problem with that is that it costs you way too much speed. And there's another upside that, you know, it's kind of missing. You know, they didn't really provide any ADS upsides if you do use this attachment, especially if you're using weaker bullets. So they designed this mag to provide support for, you know, close range engagements, but the problem is, with all the recoil attachments that you have to put on in order to stabilize the weapon with this attachment, it's kind of pointless because you're always going to be too slow to take down the enemy unless you camp. And even if you manage to stabilize it a lot, it's still going to jump like crazy. It still kicks like a mule. So in reality, they kind of made this attachment pointless. I mean, if there wasn't any vertical recoil issues with this mag option, I mean, it would probably be a better magazine choice, but it's not, because of just that particular issue. And like I said, it's bothered me since today because the magazine just makes no sense logically. And the funny thing about this mag is that they have this same particular mag in Modern Warfare with better benefits than it does here. It's better in that game because it actually reduces recoil, increases your speed, and you can make it work like an AK-74U. And that's what I love about it. But unfortunately here, like, there's more downsides than upsides. Of course, this is just multiplayer. When you're actually playing on Battle Royale, this is actually among one of the best weapons. So, you know, someone told me that, you know, some weapons that are pretty shit in multiplayer are typically very good in Battle Royale. I mean, that's fine and all, but I mean, you know, why does that mean it has to be bad in multiplayer? I mean, they have it there for a reason. But the problem is that no one really uses these weapons that are just completely underrated in my opinion. I mean, I do pretty well in some matches. You know, the team that I'm going against right now, or I guess the two-man team, I mean, yeah, they're pretty challenging because they're kind of camping with CBRs. But, you know, I do win this match, but I do have a rematch with them a little bit later on. And I end up losing that one because I guess they upped their strategy a little bit. And by strategy, I mean they camped harder than they did the last match. So technically not a strategy. But the point is, you know, depending on who you're fighting, this weapon could be an absolute monster. And despite the fact that they're using really fast SMGs with a considerable amount of range, I mean, this weapon still does stand somewhat of a chance as long as you're careful. So anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say here for the AK47. I really do hope it does have some changes in the future where it's actually made a little bit better against other weapons like the M13. Other changes I want to see, of course, is with that special mag that increases the fire rate. Hopefully they could reduce the downsides and maybe increase the upsides with ADS speed and such, so we could actually have a chance of winning gunfights in close range instead of just losing every single time because our weapon was just way too slow to even, you know, ADS with. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like, and like I said, if you enjoy videos like these, make sure to let me know in the comment section, and I'll make a lot more than just this. So anyways, have a good day, guys. Thanks.